All right, to our first interview this morning. And you know, yesterday we had Helen Houghton on because she said, I'm mounting a petition, or the new Conservative Party is mounting a petition that they were going to present, they said, to the Teaching Council of New Zealand, which is kind of like the professional body, and you've got to be a member of the Teaching Council to get registered as a teacher and therefore teach in New Zealand educational institutions. And what we were told yesterday by Helen Houghton, the leader, a former teacher herself and leader of the new Conservative Party, was that teachers, or there was going to be a change in policy where kids were going to be allowed to designate their own pronouns, and teachers would have to use them on pain of being deregistered or fired, and they couldn't talk to the kids' parents about it. That was fundamentally how it was in broad terms presented to us yesterday. And I thought we couldn't really run that story without going to the Teaching Council itself and having a chat to them about what is happening and what their response to Helen Houghton's petition might be. So we are joined now on the line by Lesley Hoskin. Lesley is the Teaching Council Chief Executive. Lesley, welcome to the platform. Thank you for joining us.
Kia ora, good morning, and thank you.
All right, Lesley, is there a change in policy in your organisation regarding pronouns and the use of pronouns in classrooms by teachers?
Simply no. We don't set a policy like that. We certainly have made no changes. In fact, the document that was referred to yesterday, the Code of Professional Responsibility, was released in 2017, and that is the document and guidelines that are used today.
Okay, and you have no plans to change those?
There will be iterative change, but there's no change based on this particular subject or the matter before us, no.
So changes to the rules around pronouns are not under consideration at present?
Not by the Teaching Council. I couldn't say broadly if that was something in the Ministry of Education. I'm not sure, but what I would absolutely say is that the code already well accommodates for teachers needing to manage their personal beliefs, whatever.
Okay, what does the code say, Lesley?
The code says that a teacher must be fair and effectively manage their assumptions and personal beliefs. And ultimately, there's a document that sits alongside it which gives examples of good practice and poor practice. And one of the first example where that's not happening is it says that they use their authority as a teacher to undermine the personal beliefs of learners or inappropriately influence them to take a course of action. And that was the area that this particular matter was determined on, was the influence.
This is the teacher who got fired for not using the required or the requested pronouns?
That's correct. The teacher had their registration cancelled, so that was the most severe decision that the tribunal could have taken. But that was following, I might point out, the initial recommendation of mentoring and support to help the teacher effectively be able to be a teacher but also hold really strong personal views. And
well, I don't think saying that Cheelers aren't blokes and blokes aren't Cheelers is a strong personal view. It's a biological reality.
Well, the decision document has 20 pages, which covers the entire situation, and what is being focused on is the particular phrase related to the use of pronouns and the name of the student.
Okay, so what is the current Teachers Council policy on using the use of pronouns in the classroom?
We don't have a position on pronouns. What we have is a very strong position that teachers, in order to teach, in order to do their job, have to have good, healthy, effective relationships with their students. And that means not taking your personal views, and that might be political, it might be on vaccinations, it might be abortion, and taking your view and insisting that the student adopts it. That's kind of where it sits. Like, you can have your view, and teachers have very broad views, of course they do. But in order to teach, you have to be able to navigate being authentically you and allowing students to be authentically themselves.
Should you indulge, therefore, your students' mental illnesses or dysphoria?
I'm not going to even comment that I think those two things are related.
That's what we're talking about, Lesley.
No, we're talking about whether a teacher is able to continue to be able to teach and hold their strong Christian beliefs. And in this instance,
I hadn't mentioned Christian. I was just talking about beliefs in general.
Well, I was invited to come and talk about this particular matter. So beliefs in general, I still hold that teachers every day have their own belief systems and they are able to teach. It is possible to do both.
All right. What about when it comes to pronouns and the issues of pronouns? Is the general policy or the wider policy that you've talked about, and thank you for doing so, as applied, does that mean that teachers essentially have to use the pronouns in a practical sense that students insist on?
I think teachers have to be able to work with their students on all kinds of matters, including if a student is going through gender transitioning and wanting a new name. Names are something so integral to our identity, and we found that with, history showing that Māori names and Pacifica names have been changed to make it easier, or Asian names make it easier for us to be able to use them. So I think the name sits at the heart.
Who brought Māori or Pacifica up into this? You seem to be, I'm sorry, Lesley, you seem to be jumping on every kind of woke trope that you can in the course of this interview.
What I'm saying is that this is not an individual matter. Teachers need to be able to navigate incredibly difficult and complex subjects every day. That is the expertise and art of being a teacher. All right.
What then is, did you get a petition yesterday from the New Conservative Party?
No, I didn't. But after I heard your show, I did reach out to them. So I haven't yet heard back from them. I'm very open. These are difficult subjects. I'm not suggesting that, teachers, that this is easy. What I'm saying is that there has to be conversation and there has to be room for both sides to be able to, be who they are. And, in this instance, the particular teacher that started the conversation around having their registration cancelled, it was found that, they couldn't do that. They didn't want to consider any other possibility. That's a conversation we have to have, and I absolutely welcome conversation, with the Conservative Party and anybody else. I think it's a really important subject that we should be talking about.
All right. Do you think parents should know if their child is insisted on having different pronouns used for them?
I wouldn't know. That's not my area of expertise.
And that's not in your guidelines?
Not at all, no. What the guidelines do talk about is the commitment to parents and whānau and, having good relationships with them. But, again, really difficult area, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is proving to be so, which is why we're having the conversation about it. Is there a danger that if we overly indulge childhood or adolescent flights of fancy in terms of identity, it actually ends up detracting from teaching?
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking there. I think
what I'm asking, if we're running around all the time trying to appease students who want to feel different or say they're different or be narcissistic and be seen because they want to be a cat or be called Zay or whatever, at some stage that might become counterproductive to the idea of school being a place that you learn stuff.
I think it's undermining the issue at hand. I can't comment on what might have happened. I can only comment on the situation that we have dealt with and acknowledge that every day teachers are having to grapple with a change of world around us, whether that's, you're saying I'm going broad, but that is what teachers are doing.
I would agree. They're at the cutting edge of some big change. Yeah.
So, my shout out is to teachers who are grappling with this and are trying to do their very best to support children and young people to understand the world they live in. That's their job, and I couldn't do it. I admire them every day to be able to do that.
Lesley, how widespread, because it seems that transgenderism or gender fluidity is basically a bit of a trend at the moment. It's cool for kids to do it, completely disproportionate to all medical history in terms of actual gender dysphoria in our society. That much. How many teachers do you think actually confront this in their working life?
Well, I agree that it's certainly a subject that's being talked about and understood more than it's ever been understood. But
I don't know,
I'm
it's
not
more
an
understood.
expert on
I
the
think it's,
subject.
as I said, I think it's turned into a trend.
I'm not an expert. I honestly can't comment.
All right, but what you're saying is there's no massive policy push as claimed by Helen Houghton, right?
That's
There
correct.
aren't new rules coming. They are the same rules you've ever had, but that those rules are all about making people or creating environments where people learn and where people can teach, right?
Great summary.
Lesley, I thank you very much indeed for coming on this morning and having a chat with us. I hope you have a good day.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Cheers. That was Lesley Hoskin. So she says, Helen Houghton, you've got it all wrong. And this all comes down from a Christian teacher who wouldn't use pronouns and literally got fired. That was an interesting interview, and I'm interested in your views on that interview.